Hello everyone. Today's poem is Leyou Yuan by Li Shangyin. Leyou Yuan is a place name located in the southeast corner of the Chang'an city. In the Tang dynasty, the Chang'an city could be the most biggest city in the world. Roughly 1 million people live in this huge mega city. And Leyou Yuan is within the city at the very southeast corner. And most importantly, this place is a little bit high-rise plateau. So we know the Tang people like to climb up a high-rise tower or a high-rise mountain to look far away. The most famous Tang poem, we have a lot of most famous Tang poem writing about climb up and looking to the far distance. And this place is not such a high place, but it's within the Chang'an city. So in the Tang dynasty, in the Chang'an city, when the sun goes down, the door of the city was closed, so nobody was allowed to walk around in the main street. And also, there is 108 fang. So the fang, you can treat it as the small city within the huge mega city of Chang'an. So there's 108 small city within the big, huge Chang'an city. And the small city, they also have wall and has door as well. So when the sun goes down, the door of that small city of Fang also closed. So basically, when the sun goes down, everybody was in the small city. Nobody was allowed to go out of the small city, walking on the main street. So that's why this place, Leyou Yuan, became so important, because when the sun is about going down, you should get back to your home as quickly as possible, or get into one of the fang as quickly as possible. So this place, Leyou Yuan, the high-rise plateau, became the only place for a normal person can visit during the after hours when he was in Chang'an city. He can look around to the near places, which is the great Chang'an city, the royal palace. And if you look further to the north, roughly 20 kilometers to the north, you can see the Wei River and the gigantic pyramid-like tombs of the Han emperors. If the weather is clear enough, you can even see the tombs built on the big high mountains, roughly 60 kilometers to the north. And when you turn back, you look to the south, 20 to 30 kilometers to the south. That's the huge mountain, South Mountain. So you will have the great wealth of everything, the natural wonders, the histories. The Han tombs was roughly 1,000 years ago. And also you see the great, magnificent Chang'an city. So that's why almost all the most important Tang poets, they have poems about this place, Leyou Yuan. Just name a few: Li Bai, Du Mu, Bai Juyi, Zhang Jiuling. So they all have poems writing about Leyou Yuan. And the poems I'm talking about today by Li Shangyin could be the most famous one, and especially this one is a much more easy poems by Li Shangyin. So the characteristics of Li Shangyin's poems is very complicated, hard to understand, a lot of quotations to the classic literatures, the old stories, but this one is such simple. I do believe Li Shangyin was touched by something deeply when he was writing about this poem, so he just write it down straightforward. And one more thing is about myself. When I was a kid, my home was 15 to 20 minutes walk to this place. Such a familiar place for the people of Chang'an. 乐游原，李商隐。向晚意不适，驱车登古原。夕阳无限好，只是近黄昏。A very simple by its wording, and I do think the meaning is quite straightforward and easy, though there's so many explanations and interpretations in the history. So we have explained the title is a place name, a very special place. So you can look around the great city, Chang'an city, the relics of the ancient emperor, the huge tomb of the Han dynasty, of the Tang dynasty, and also you can look to the south, the huge mountain, South Mountain, and even you can see the snows in the far distance. The first sentence, 向晚意不适, normally it was explained as tonight I don't feel very comfortable and my spirits is low. Well, if you are a Xi'an people or you are local people, 向晚 means the last night. So I would explain this as a local sayings. Last night, I didn't feel very well. I'm low-spirited. 驱车登古原, so I drive a car, climb up the ancient plateau. Because this place, roughly 1,000 years from the point, from the Tang dynasty, it's a royal garden already, and through the 1,000 years till Tang dynasty, till the time of the poet, it changed to the temples, to some other royal gardens, but basically it's not a wild place. It's some place with its name and with bit of the famous names. So that refers, this place is with the, if you have been to here, not only because the surrounding great city, the huge tombs far in the far side, even this place gave you the sense of history. 驱车 drive the car, of course, the car of horse, the car of bulls. So that's the car in the Tang dynasty. The third sentence, 夕阳无限好. So this is just like the oral language even till today, and it's used so many times in dialogues, in the articles. So you can do your homework and find out how this sentence was quoted and used in today's Chinese language. So it's very straightforward. The sunset is with greatest beauty. 无限 is no boundaries, so the beauty is with no boundaries. The beautiful is with no boundaries, most beautiful. So when he looked to the west, so that's the normal situation most of the Tang poets would describe. Looking to the west could be the wind of the west, or could looking to the setting sun. So the setting sun is with its most beautiful. The fourth sentence, 只是近黄昏, but it's just about getting dark. 黄, it turns yellow. 昏 became dark. So 黄昏, in today's language, it means the dawn time. The sunset time. So let's review the poem again as a whole. So last night I didn't feeling very well. I'm low spirited, so I just climb up to some of the high places and getting relaxed and express my feelings. So climbing up and express his feelings is one of the tradition of the Tang people. We have saw so many poems written about this situation. So that no wonder Li Shangyin do the same thing. He drive a car, climb up the ancient high plateau in the south corner of the city. And the setting sun looks so beautiful, with almost the most beautiful period of the day, but it's just near its darkness, or it's just near its getting down and getting dark. So from the surface, it's expressed something is fading away, and the people is, of course, feel the sorrow and sadness and a bit low-spirited. The most popular argument to explain this poem is when Li Shangyin was writing this poem, he's around his 30, a little bit over his 30. So he's still such a young man, and how can he express such a feeling like a very old man near his death? So that's just like the setting sun, and very quickly everything will be darkness. Yet when we have a further look of this poem, is first thing first, it's a 5-character poems in a sentence. So this type of poems is more of classic to the Tang poets. So Li Shangyin, when we check the poems by Li Shangyin, almost all the famous poems is 7 characters a sentence. So that's the most popular style in the Tang dynasty, especially in the late Tang period, in Li Shangyin's time. And this poem, he chose the 5-character sentence intentionally because that's classic. The classic spirits of the Chinese poem is to express something political, something associated with the country, with the people, or with the emperor. So with such interpretations, the setting sun is referring to the emperors, which emperor actually dies several months later. And Li Shangyin was just back from a very disappointing position outside of the Chang'an city and back to Chang'an city finally. It sounds like he's getting to a good career track again. But if we study further of the poet's life stories, we know that he never has a good situation in his career life. So he's always challenged by the both parties of the two major political power in that time. So he never had a good life in his career path, yet he's such an ambitious person. And so at this time when he back to the capital, looks like he have a very good career path ahead. Anyhow, when he get back to the capital, he feel the very tough political situation, and the emperor is not in a very good condition, just like the setting sun. Of course, he still with no good relationship with the political powers in charge. So both the feelings toward the emperor and the bad feelings toward himself, the bad futures of himself, made him just sign like this. The empire, the emperor, is not in a good condition. On the surface, everything looks so great. Anyhow, it's just about end up and getting to darkness. 夕阳无限好，只是近黄昏. So that's simple words, but express the common feeling that everybody would have in some period of time about himself or about the situation surrounding him. The common feeling shared by everybody. The most beautiful scenic view depicted, and the wonderful wording made this poem everlasting. Okay, that's for today, and bye-bye.